Chapter 7, Inflation. In this video, we're going to talk about how the government calculates CPI, or the Consumer Price Index. This is the main price index that governments all across the world use to measure their inflation. So the Consumer Price Index is just a way to calculate how many consumer products are going up or down in price. Remember, inflation is the rate of change between any two CPIs. So basically, we're going to find the prices in general of a year, and we're going to attribute a number to that year. That will be the CPI. And if we have the CPI of a different year, we can compare those two CPIs or find the inflation rate between them. Remember that CPI, or the inflation rate, is the way that the government will calculate a consumer's cost of living. So, how expensive is it to live in America? Or how expensive is it to live in Phoenix versus New York City? The CPI uses what's called a market basket value. And this is a fictional shopping basket, which has hundreds of thousands of products in it. And the government pre-decides what goods they believe should be in the basket. In the next slide, we're going to go over the steps to calculate CPI. Follow along with me because it's a little bit convoluted. So, first of all, people in the government, employees of the government, have to decide what they believe should be in a typical consumer market basket. Again, this is a fictional shopping basket of things that they think a general American family might purchase. If these are very rare items, they're not going to be in the basket. We're looking for fairly typical products. So there's lots of grocery items, even things that are not necessary. So entertainment, sports tickets, movie tickets would be in here. Things related to education, healthcare, food, shelter, all of those things will go into this typical market basket. People in the government are going to determine what items they think should go into this basket before the measuring period starts. So, if we're going to start measuring in 2020, then by the end of 2019 or December of 2019, they need to have this figured out before the measuring period starts. Once the measuring period starts, they send out employees of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they go to places all around the country in different cities and collect data on the prices in the things that they chose to put in the market basket. So they're going to go into grocery stores in low income and high income neighborhoods. They're going to go look at cars from city to city and see what they're selling like. And they're going to collect all these prices. And then they're going to average those things throughout the nation. And then they can also calculate CPI from city to city. Because as you know, prices from city to city within a country also can vary. Once you have the prices, you have to figure out how much that shopping basket would have costed. So that's price times quantity. So if you take the average price of a car or an average price of a grocery store item and multiply it by how many units they put into the market basket. So the government would pre-decide that, let's say, families buy 7 loaves of bread in a 3-month period. And then they went out and found the average price of bread. So the price of bread times the quantity of 7 units, that would be the bread's market basket cost. But the market basket has hundreds of thousands of products, and you would add them all together. From there, you have to choose a base year. So CPI is always relative to some other year. Typically, they will pick the previous year or the previous quarter, and we can then see if inflation is going up or down. So CPI is going to be the cost of the basket in the current year, which is whatever year the question is asking you about, divided by the cost of basket in the base year. And the question will tell you what the base year is. And then you're going to multiply it by 100. CPI is just a number. It's not a percentage and it's not a dollar amount. If you have two CPIs, then you can calculate the rate of change between two CPIs, and that will give you the inflation rate, which is a percentage. Remember, the rate of change equation is the difference between the two values over the earlier of the two times 100, and inflation is a percentage.